Hey, Sean, let me bring you straight in there, Sean. Sean, can I get a 5x5 from you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, loud and
Great
clear.
stuff. Sorry, I didn't. I thought I sent that to your number this morning. It was just great. We had Darren in there this morning. Sean, I won't waste any more of your time. I won't waste your time. We're 20 minutes into the show. Sean, give us a bit of a background. What's going on? Your situation, please.
Um, my situation is I run I ran a very successful business here at Dromoland Castle there for the last 13 years. We run a fairly extensive Jarvey operation with a lot of carriages, and we introduced trekking and horse riding and trail riding and all that a number of years ago, and we were fairly successful. We were building it up into a quite a substantial business, which last year in the peak we employed 10 people, between full-time people, part-time people, college students, and a lot of work for summer kids that would be in and out of school. And this yard has become their home. And the government have they've crippled it. They have actually killed the life and the soul inside my body. But we're down, but we're not out. We will take them to Europe or wherever we have to take them to now. I walked my horses to Dublin last July out of Dromoland Castle. Took me 5 days, and they say it's a rocky road to Dublin, but by God, we found it was rocky. And we have been left with no assistance whatsoever for the welfare of 40 animals in this yard tonight. Horses, ponies, everything, cobs, and 5 vehicles. There's some of my vehicles lined up there. I haven't a vehicle in this yard today that has tax, insurance, or a DOE on it. Nothing. And I get a COVID payment the same as the college students that were going to college that got paid to study their exams with me. They got paid to study their exams last April because they're working a day.
How are you able to maintain the animals' welfare and all that situation? It just left you high and dry.
It's become an impossibility. But we're very strong people. And my brother comes every day, and the fire is lighting there. The kettle is on, and the fire is lighting in there for us now. We'll have our tea in a while. He'll cook for us, and that's where I live, by this campfire every day. In a mobile, a camper van down there at the end of the yard. There's the roof is leaking in 3 places in it. There's no running water in it. There's no working toilet in it. It was just an old camper that we bought, and we're going to do it up for our own holidays and everything. We live a very simple, modest life. We never were flash people, but we were very hard working, passionate people about work. That's what anyone that knows me knows how passionate I am about work. I work at 16 or 18 hours as a minimum of a day, 7 days of the week to build a business. Because anyone that's in business for themselves, never mind these idols that are in government jobs, we have to pay wages on a Friday. We're always the last people to get paid. We pay our staff before we pay ourselves, and we always do without. But that's the way it goes when you run a business. But we have been left with actually nothing. 350 euros they're back up to now giving us on a weekly basis. And my home is gutted. Back home in East Clare, I gutted our house I built an extension onto it last November. I asked Vera to move out with the lads up home for a couple of weeks while we'd finish it, and we were going to borrow a little bit of money off the bank, which took such an effort. It took 3.5 months for the money to come off the bank, despite how strong our books were. It came in March when lockdown was coming, and I knew then I could smell a rat that there was something strange happening in the world. And the money sadly that was borrowed to try and kickstart our business in the spring and finish our home was all sank into this business here, and our home is gutted. Our relationship is broken up. She lives above with her mother and father. Thank God she has a roof over her head with the lads. We have 2 sons. And I've lived here at this campfire since last Easter. I haven't stood in running water since Easter, except out my cousins out in England. We went out to bury my uncle there a few weeks ago. And
sorry to hear that.
That's the way I live now every day. But we're strong people. And we know, you see, it's easy to give up. But when you know that there's something bigger happening on the world that we're living in, and you know that there's corruption, and we know that all the governments are telling nothing but continuous lies to our people, moving boundaries of viruses from 2 foot to 6 foot. And 1 minute it was on bars of steel. In March and April it was on bars of steel, and it was on this and that. And now it's moved on to socks. So we have our own intelligence. I wasn't educated I was educated in a world which was known as the walk of life. I'm working since I was 13 years old. So I have education through life. I don't need it through the other way, because it comes through God and through nature and through everything in abundance. And it's there's some huge amount of hoodwinking going on at the moment. The funny thing is, us guys are telling the truth and they're telling lies. So they have to work now 500 times harder than we have to work now today, because they all have to stay telling more lies. And the more and more lies they keep telling, the harder it's going to get for them to stay playing football. And we're winning now. The people are waking up.
You feel that, Sean, do you? You feel that
people
in
are
your locality?
Yeah. I feel it through God. I'm very connected to the earth and through nature and through everything. And the one man above hasn't spoken yet too much. He's just sat back and watched it all. But when we have penal laws on priests since 1829 brought back on our people to say mass, and you can go into Aldi today and collect all the stuff you want to, or go the off license. You gotta work out what's going on, and there's something huge going on. Yeah. We brought it as hope and life to everybody. We were driven off the Curragh when we went to Dublin. We were refused a home in the RDS for our horses. We bring every kind of a horse in this yard, Irish drafts, everything. We have Connemara's, we have all our native breeds, and they wouldn't allow them above in the RDS this year, to allow them to have just the bare ground to lie on after walking to Dublin for fairness, for My Life Matters, for a reformation and a corrupt insurance industry, which is all collapsed around me now. All my businesses are out of insurance. We can't get insurance for trekking, and we can't get insurance now for all our carriages. So what is going on? You can get insurance to fly a drone, and you can't get insurance to drive a horse and carriage, which has been our tradition in this island. Not for hundreds, but almost thousands of years, the horses have been part of our life. And now they're making it a new norm, that they don't want this stuff in their paths as they're going into this new dimension. One leader of one nation and one country is calling this out. I've all my trust in him, Donald Trump. He's a hotel up the road here that supports hundreds of jobs. He's a businessman. He claims he's not a politician because he knows the corruption of politics and all that. So he's calling it out. And he said, we're going back to normal. He wants normal. I think we all want normal.
We do indeed. Has the government come back with you for any of the care for the horses? Any assistance?
Some of the updates on government are Joe Carey told me if I couldn't look after my horses that I should sell them. Cathal Crowe told me recently that if I was finding it hard to let my horses out the land for the winter and get a job in a factory. I have the welfare of 40 animals. And anyone knows the keeping of a horse, it's far different than the keeping of livestock and cattle and all that. They're a much more delicate kind of an animal. And my animals have never been used to being out wintered in a hard way. They're rugged up, they're bedded down, they're all in work, they're in exercise, they're in routine, and we're developing them for all sorts of things. We have a wedding and a funeral business across the island. We do communion carriages and all those kind of things. So the tap has been turned on and off so many times this year that we don't know if we came out of lockdown, would there be a wedding in a week's time or 2 weeks' time, because everyone might rush at the ball if things got going again. So our horses have to be in and working and in their job, not out in the field. We asked Minister Catherine Martin, for help. We went to see her in Doolin this year, and I pleaded with her that I was actually on the brink of suicide, and I have looked at it. I've looked at everything. I've thrown up ropes in the shed here several times this year, and sat and talked to God about it and see would my children, my family be better off without me here, or maybe I'm their liability now. But I'm strong, and we've still fought on because I've got 2 kids, and if you ever meet them, you die for them. So we're still here. But I told Catherine Martin the way I was feeling. She told me she'd do something for me, and after several weeks, nothing happened. So I went on the computer and searched for many hours till we eventually found a mobile phone number for her. She then accused Timmy Dooley very viciously that he handed her own private mobile number. This is just a TD of a Green Party that was minuscule in life a few years ago, that actually never got a seat in government. But now they're back in government and they think they're in Hollywood. And she's so important now that she doesn't even have a mobile number. So I left a message on her phone stating again that she had nothing done for us and that I was feeling quite lonely. And in a mental way, I was also lonely. And we needed help. And she pawned off a man called Bernard O'Shea, who's head of tourism of some department. And he told me I should hang on till the budget. And I said, we can't hang on any longer. And so I left a strong message on her phone one day that had I to take my vehicles out on the road and burn them to make a statement that we're actually crying for help to feed animals and pay our rent and try and go back to paying our loans and our mortgages and run our vehicles and feed our animals and look after their health and their wealth and their mental well-being and everything else is along on my own. And I said, people died for our country. Have some of us have people to start dying again? But she took it personal that I threatened her life. And the only thing I had out of Minister Catherine Martin was 3 detectives spent 5 hours looking for me on a Sunday afternoon. And they had to go to 4 different addresses before they actually found me here, where I have spent my whole life since April, here in the yard. I think I've been home maybe 8 or 10 times to East Clare. And that's about all. I stay here. But all my harness is here. All my tack is here. I've got quite a substantial harness room. Probably shouldn't be saying it out loud, but I have it. And there's a lot of entrances and exit points to the estate here. And we know who comes in the dark of night to take all your stuff when they get the rumour that his business is closed down and he's not there. And there's a lot of stuff there that can be flogged. So that's what happens with our kind of stuff. Saddles and bridles and all that kind of stuff is very easy stuff to steal, and it's very easy stuff to flog. There's always someone to buy it. And so I decided to sit it out with my business and my animals at the cost of my family and my home. And our house is gutted, still gutted over in East Clare. And you could say I'm homeless anyway tonight. I'm living in a camper van, but I'm still better situated than the people that live in the streets in Dublin. And God love that poor chap now that's walking to Dublin.
Alan, yeah.
To highlight this again, yeah.
And many other. And Alan says he's doing that, for his own fortitude as well, to keep himself and give him a sort of a purpose. Like many of us all need a purpose to get out there. What's next for you? What have you spoken with anybody else in government, or is there anything else that we could do here? And we're only a small little show, Sean, but it's just to give you the opportunity to get your situation out there as well.
There's so many more people like Sean, shops and businesses and everything. But at the end of the day, you can close a shop, but you can't stop feeding an animal. We have enough feed at the moment for them. We've no bedding. We're actually bedding the horses on the Springs hay that we should have. We have no money to buy shavings now or anything for the horses. So sadly, we're actually turning out good bales of hay now and putting them in under the horses for bedding, because our horses are used to bedding and they're entitled to bedding by law. They're entitled to a roof over their head and they're entitled to food and water and a dry bed. And so we're not going to change our ways. We want the government to step in and look at our businesses. They came back with this up to 5,000 of a loan this year, or not a loan of a funding in the budget. That a business to receive 5,000 a week, you have to have a turnover of 5 million. So it's basically the hoodwinking of it all is 1,000 per million. Now we had a turnover of just over 250,000 last year, which wasn't bad for a business that we set up with just a pony and trap 13 years ago. I've built it up to that. But I worked extremely hard at it all my life. The castle is very demanding. They want you there on a bank holiday Monday and a Friday evening and a Sunday evening when the guests are checking in. They also want you there on a Tuesday and a Wednesday and a Thursday. So it becomes a 7-day week every week, and there's no room for error when you're dealing with high-end hotels. And we loved it. We love the buzz of it, and we love work. So it doesn't come as a chore. But I don't know where we go, because the budget has shown that my business can claim 10% of its turnover. Now, to receive the 10%, the way we worked it out, the way they've worked it out, is they're going to divide your turnover into 52 weeks of the year and pay you on a weekly basis till next March from budget day. Now, that's only 25 weeks. So that's less than 4% of turnover, because they're not giving you your turnover into your hand where you could actually even try and do something with it. They're breaking it down again and then further breaking that down. So it's all nonsense again by these governments that are not fit for purpose. Our government isn't fit for purpose. They're school teachers and all sorts of different people that are running a very, very big business, and they haven't actually a clue. They have no empathy. They have no compassion, and it's very sad what they're doing to all the self-employed working people. They seem to want us all in factories, and they seem to want us all streamlined just one direction and get us all to the town where they can control us soon with drones, and everything will be computerized and free living.
People would say call you a conspiracy theorist for that, Sean.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. No, I read a lot of history, and history is just repeating itself all over again. Our people were sent to Barbados to harvest sugar for the making of rum, for ships, for scurvy, for breaking penal laws, which included forbidden.
And their descendants are still there as well, Sean.
Still there, yeah. The Black Irish out in India, in the West Indies, the Black Irish are there. They sent us to Virginia to harvest tobacco, and then realized we had no resistance to mosquitoes, and that's why a black slave became fashionable in America. He was worth £50 to an Irish indentured servant. Talk about a lovely name they had on him. We were indentured servants, and we were sold off the big estates here for £5 when the black slaves were making 50. So then they had no need for us on the plantations, and they sent us to do the hardest work of all, which was to dig out the Erie Canal and cut out all the railroads and dig out all the canals and the swamps in Florida. And today they talk about Black Lives Matters, and it's just all nonsense. I was
just going to say, Sean, what do you say to the newly acquired academics over here that try to change our history, saying now that we have a part in colonialism, that the Irish perpetrated against the blacks of the time, and that the Irish have to make reparations for their part in the colonial tyranny? It's a sheer mockery. They're rewriting history as they've always tried to do.
If they don't learn from the mistakes of the past, they always repeat them in the future. That's all that's happening. Nobody knows our past. They don't know. Sure, you look back, in St. Patrick was brought here as a slave. He was brought to feed pigs, if you read our history. So slavery has been part of life. Black slaves, white slaves, everyone has been slaves. It's the power of the hierarchy that deem all our futures, unless we stand up and say we're in control of our own destiny. There's no need to be locked up in your house tonight. There's no need for County Clare and that lovely hotel down there, if you can get a glimpse of it in a minute, called Dromoland Castle. There is no need for her to be in lockdown tonight. She supports 300 jobs. And I don't know, can you see it down there? There's some of the flags of it. There's no need for it to be locked down. And I'll tell you why there's no need. Since I went to Dublin, it was reported last Friday week on Clare FM. It's on my Facebook page. I recorded the conversation on the news that they were reading off on Clare FM, another corrupt station, doing nothing, only telling you wash your hands and keep away from everyone. It's all programming. But since July, since I went to Dublin, I went to Dublin on the 13th of July. It didn't give the date, but it said over 3 months. They recorded a week prior to last Friday week, somewhere along that time, the first recorded COVID-related, it didn't say COVID death, it said COVID-related death in over 3 months. Now, you don't have to be very intelligent to ask yourself, we count people that are dead. We don't need to count anybody else. Sick people have a chance of getting better. So what is actually going on that a whole county of Clare tonight is in a lockdown to save one person, just one person? And Sean Kilkenny is very sad that family have buried a person. We want everyone to live, but the wheel of life is there's life and death. That's it. We're hardened to that all our lives. We get over, we bury people, and we have hurt. Everyone has, and the people closest carry the most pain. But the wheel of life has to go on. And there's always new life given for every life that's taken. There's only one person dead in County Clare since July. Our hospitals are empty, and they're scaremongering to live and living. It has divided my family, my mother, and everything has divided us all. COVID-19 has, because they think we're killing everybody and we're spreading it. And I have never worn a mask. I will not wear one for anybody. I wore one to carry my uncle's coffin in England because they wanted it going into wherever they cremate him. And that was it. I won't wear one for no one because masks don't work. I have farmer's lung. I do believe I got COVID-19. If they want to come and test me, they're welcome to test me. I got it in January. Vera got it for almost 4 weeks. She should have died nearly 3 nights. She should have died nearly 3 nights. She was so sick. She was so sick and she wouldn't go to the hospital. She was as sick as I have ever seen her in my whole life. And I know people have had COVID-19 since last November. But I've also been told by people that it's been in the flu vaccine for the last 3 years. COVID-19 is some kind of a reaction that hits very few people. And it's driven by chemicals. I don't know what it's driven by. Maybe the mercury in your fillings. And it has a reaction with certain people. For the rest of the people, it's nothing. Mild symptoms of the flu. They've never isolated the gene. They've never isolated COVID-19 on its own. The tests they're using have been told by the people that make the test is not fit for its purpose because it never was fit for its purpose for SARS or any of the other ones. I got the swine flu twice in my life and got over them because I'm susceptible to all those things, because here in Dromoland we meet people very quickly from every part of the world. So we're always, I suppose, front line to meeting all these bugs, because there's people from China here and there's people from Taiwan, and then there's people from America and Germany, and they're all coming in planes and we meet them first on. So I suppose we get the bugs quicker than anybody. We all have a resistance. Germs are actually good for your body, and today they keep telling you to wash them all off yourself and bleach yourself and sanitize yourself and put more of that stuff on your hands to kill all the bacteria again. So actually what they're doing is actually gently weakening the immune system in every human being. There's no ads on the radio on a daily basis to say what will strengthen your immunity, what should we be taking to balance our bodies, how much greens and vegetables we should be eating. Nothing. No, it is all wash your hands, stay away and put on a mask so you can't smell each other and see each other. What have I muted you?
You didn't. I muted myself. I do that. Quick. Sean, we're just coming up to the last segment of the show, and I want to just keep it as short as we can. We're going to check in with you during the week as well, but where can we steer people towards? What's the name of your Facebook page?
Sean Kilkenny gets me on Facebook, I think, and then the Jarvie Man. I have another page, the Jarvie Man. I don't put up much in it, or Sean Kilkenny Carriages. I put most of my stuff up on my own Facebook page because I keep putting up the truth. Keep putting up the information that we see that is the truth, that reads the truth. But you don't need to read the truth. You know the truth. It's inside our souls. It's in our minds. But the problem is corrupt people love to be corrupt because the power of money gets in their lives. Money can't break or divide me from any human being. It has not got that power. I can live here forever. To the kindness of, I have to thank one family today. I have to thank my brother Paul because he's my rock. And I have to thank, and my children, but I have to thank the kindness of Lord Inchiquin and his wife, Lady Helen, who have not only given us a home for our horses, but a place for me to be with them and extra grassland so that they can graze, and have asked for no money in return for rent or anything else that we have failed to pay since April. We have failed to pay any of our bills or loans or anything else. And not one squeeze of pressure has been put on that family for anything. But the banks were quick to put on all their interest on our loans this year, despite they saying that they were giving us a break. They have given us no break. They deferred our payments and added on interest. So there is no break. But these kind families have given us the break. And they're the ones that we stand behind. They're huge supporters to us and to our animals. And it is known and recorded on the history of this estate for as long as they've been here, since 1543, that never was there a tenant evicted or convicted. And I had great faith, knowing my history, it carried me through here, that they wouldn't put me under pressure either, because never in the history of this estate has there been a tenant ever evicted or convicted of a crime. It's also birthplace to William Smith O'Brien. So the people of Ireland should be standing up and rising a little bit. He was sentenced to be hung, drawn and quartered for leading a rebellion in 1848 to free our land. And now the laws are in on us again, the same people. He was sentenced, remember it, to be hung, drawn and quartered. But he got a reprieve because his family had earlier surrendered an oath of allegiance to Henry VIII when they knew they weren't strong enough to defend Henry VIII. So he got banished to Tasmania. But he was pardoned by the Queen and he was allowed to come home. And he is the man that stands in that great monument in O'Connell Street in Dublin. And he is the reason why we have a national flag. So the people of Ireland should go and learn what it is and why he sent his life as a Protestant, not a Catholic, to free our people, which has now been taken off us again. But I think we're nearly ready to rise. We're nearly ready to rise as a nation. We're starting to come alive. And if this doesn't soon get called out, civil war might be on its doors, but there's a lot of us strong to fight. I don't think our politicians are actually strong to fight. We have the passion in our hearts. They can't beat us. No, they can't beat us. Our guns will be taken up. Our guns will be taken out of the ground again if we need them. But we hope we won't have to revert to that. We want a simple life. Everyone does today, don't they? We want peace in this island, but we want fairness, and the people are not getting it. Locked in their homes with masks on their faces. It's terrible. Check-in, as we're usually happy, but this brings up brings the thorns out again, and that's what happens. We're usually happy here. We have the firelight in here every day as a symbol of hope. We brought it with us to Dublin. We lit it every day. We were driven off the Curragh like lepers. I lit the fire on the Curragh, and it was the first time since hundreds and hundreds of years that it was lit for the same reasons. And I've forgotten the story now. I won't be able to tell you it off my head, but anyway, I'll have it for you the next day, who lit the fire the last time and everything else. And
I look forward to it, Sean. We look forward to it very much. Listen,
we have it here. We want people to come in and see us here if they're in a low place, because I know where it is to be low, but I know how to come up out of it. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, Sean.
Thanks for taking the call.
No problem, Sean. We'll check in with you in the week, and I'll speak to you soon. I'm just going to shut the show down, and then we'll check in with you later on. Yeah. God bless you, sir. Take care. Okay, there, folks. Going to leave that there. It's got a lot to take away there from our conversation with Sean. We'll check in with Sean during the week as well, and going forward, keep an eye on the animals. Don't forget to check over the Garvey Man was the name of the Facebook page, or Sean Kilkenny as well. I will try and leave links forward afterwards as well for us all to check in as well. But again, the consciousness is waking, the zeitgeist is waking, but enough of us need to be emboldened. There's more protests happening in Dublin today as well, I believe, and there will be more situations, more protests coming on. We will advertise them as much as we can. Hopefully the YouTube will be back sometime this week, but we're going to play that on the lowdown. I'm not going to waffle on too much, just going to finish up on with the usual. Please don't forget, smash that like button if you haven't done so already. Please hit the subscription button. If you're new to the show, please hit the bell for a future broadcast, and you'll be reminded of future broadcast here in the Grand Torino. Please, if you could, share this on your other platforms. Push this message out so Sean's words can be reached out and pushed around into other people's platforms, and maybe give other people a bit of inspiration. People that are a little bit low and take stock in Sean's stalwartness that we almost find within ourselves and develop, and keep rising and keep the flame lit, keep it going. Now so more than ever, same as everybody else, we are demonetized, but we're not demoralized. We'd like to bring you these interviews and keep this truth platform going. Thank you very much for all that have contributed. Thank you very much for your continued support. PO Box 131179 is the PO Box if you're interested in or considering sending us a snail mail. Thank you very much for all your continued support. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to jump off and have a quick chow mail with Sean. Have a quick word from our sponsor as well before I let you go. That'll be the big man, sorry, we think. And one from our friends, The Little Farmer. TheLittleFarmer.ie. We love our enzymes so much. We keep them alive. Wheatgrass and barley grass juice full of antioxidants. One wheatgrass juice is equivalent to 1 kilogram of your leafy green veg, and barley grass juice is full of antioxidants. Just shake and shoot. Don't forget to enter in your promo code GT for your substantial discount over there. And I will see you later on this evening with one guest and the other. We'll get in contact with Bruce. Ladies and gentlemen, be good. Have a great, blessed day. See you again this evening. Us.